So the difference in my case is that my partner wasn't really willing to negotiate, not from the start. I don't know why I thought that he would listen to me, because really any ideas, anything that I thought would be reasonable was shut down, was closed down, and I wasn't able to speak. I was criticised quite a lot for anything. I was told I rush headlong into decisions, or I'm always on the porch of indecision. So it was really, for myself, I didn't even realise the situation that I was in throughout the relationship. It didn't actually dawn on me that the relationship had been one where he had systematically, over a space of time, devalued and degraded my self-esteem. And yes, I did make mistakes, but I'm not a person that I make a mistake, yes, okay, fine, I've made a mistake, and then you bounce back and you think, right, okay, I've done that didn't work, so let's do something else, because that's my mindset. That's the way I think, and I've done lots of things in the past where I've had success with what I've done, and so I know that I've done things and I've failed at things, but then I've succeeded at things, and this is life, right? But being in this relationship has like waken me up to just exactly what sort of relationship this was, and that realization caused more trauma than anything else in my whole life. And I have been through a divorce and bought back a house that my husband was living in. I left that property with 2 daughters and started working 4 different jobs, and then studied for a degree, and actually obtained a Bachelor of Science honours degree while doing 4 different jobs. And so I'm not one that sort of hides away and just like hits the bottle, or, you know, I'm not that type of person. I also have been through the death of a partner. We started a business in 2005, and we were just basically coming to a point where we'd tripled the income from our starting spot. Our starting point, and we tripled that income. Unfortunately, in the December of 2006, he died of a heart attack. And so I had to then continue that business forward quite a lot of the time on my own. And I was lucky in that I did have a full-time job at that point, and I was still working a full-time job and also working the business as well. And grief is a massive thing to get over, but it takes time to get over, and it has all sorts of repercussions in your life, losing a person who you actually love as well. But I know that in relationships, I have struggled to have relationships, healthy and not toxic relationships, because most of the relationships I've had, I've actually attracted men who haven't really been 100% supportive. So it's been really difficult. Now, so in my case, with the advice I had and with what happened, it wasn't just about this property that I'm actually still sitting in. It wasn't about that. Because in July of 2021, when my former partner was in Spain, because he said he had buyers, I allowed the buyers to look around, and they said they were very interested. And so I met in a public place, and I think it was nearly 3 hours of a discussion trying to come to some settlement. And despite the fact that it was at first 50% of the sale proceeds of this house, which very quickly changed, I think by October or November, all offers were withdrawn, so that was it, you know, and he was going to court to evict me. Even before that, he'd said he was going to evict me, actually, in September before he left. I was going to be thrown out of the house with just my suitcases. And the other thing was that I had 4 months. I had 4 months, and it was supposed to be that he was moving back in January of 2021, and I was out. Had no clue. I mean, obviously I had to live through that period thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. And it's hard, because even the most positive person, when you're faced with a trauma, when you're faced with a situation, then it's very difficult to remain calm, and it's very difficult to remain positive going through those types of situations. And I didn't, because you can't put grief and trauma and anxiety on the back shelf.